Blast from the grassroots, connecting people and sharing ideas.
Hi, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gauri.
And you are listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. So, Gauri, today we have an interesting photographer based in New York.
Yes, and also a very interesting topic, something that we rarely talk about, almost never. But he was brave enough to go about to highlight this issue.
Mm-hmm. So he is Toshi Kazama. He's a photographer as well as a human rights advocate. So, hi, Toshi.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Of course, together with us are two delegates from the European Union delegation to Malaysia. They are in the background here. So before we start our conversation today, maybe a bit of description of your background and your work and how you get involved in this very interesting way of photographing death row inmates.
Yes, I was a commercial photographer. I was photographing for magazines and then the advertising companies and the in New York City, and then I enjoyed doing it. And however, as I became a father, all the social issues in New York City became a direct concern to me. And then I felt like I needed to do something because there is, gun issues in New York City, crime issues, many things like injustice, racism, everything, you name it. There's so many wrong things happening. And then I wanted to do something. And each issue, when I focus, wasn't enough for me. But when I focus on death penalty, it included every ill part of our society. So I decided that I focus on death penalty. As I learned death penalty in the United States, I found out there is juveniles who are 16 and 17 years old on death row. And it was amazing for me, and I felt like I needed to photograph these people. So I started photographing these people 1996.
Oh, that's quite some time ago.
Yeah.
So from 1996 to now, 2014, how many inmates that you have photographed?
About 22.
22.
Yeah.
And what are the stories that you get from them, like highlights from among those 22 inmates?
It varies. Each one is different. And then I photograph in the United States, and also eventually I photograph in Taiwan as well. Mm-hmm. So each case is different, each story is different. But I was stunned when I met first death row inmate who was 16 years old. Prior to meeting these people, I felt like all the death row inmates. We can easily label them as a murderer and monsters and so on. I never met a person who killed any other, murder somebody. So going to prison was like very nervous.
So you were terrified that your life would be at risk?
Not the risk, but just I was scared to meet with this kind of monster. But when I met the first kid, was an ordinary kid. Could easily find in my son's classroom in New York. It was no different from any other people. And I found out he was mentally retarded. He had a full-scale IQ of 67, which is a borderline mental retardation. And that does felt like, wow. And I hugged him and I shake hands and photograph him, and then his life was something that I can't just close my eye and forget about it. It became very important to me because if I disrespect his life, I feel like I'm disrespecting my own life and my children's life. And that meeting has led me to think, what if I was born as him? I'd be on death row, so I would need to treat him as I wanted to be treated. And then that thought led me to not just wash away from it, just wash my hand and leave and forget about it. Really started to photograph more people and then talk about this issue to as many as people as possible.
Those people on death row, are they all diverse in terms of their ethnic background, or are they from a particular race?
In terms of race, I see more black people and Hispanic people than white people for sure in the United States. And but one thing is far more common is they're all poor. Often,
so their socio-economic background really influence how they turn out to be as a person.
If you can hire a good lawyer in the United States, you never end up being on death row, even though if you murder somebody. But because these people does not able to afford any lawyer, so often public defender with very minimum budget comes in with not much experience in the criminal justice case, and then they get all the worst end of it. Within my subject, in the United States, I photographed 21. 3 were white. I focus on juveniles and the 16, 17 years old. So a lot of them was black, but there is a few white ones. But in terms of population and death row inmates in the United States, majority of them is colored people.
Mm-hmm. What about crimes that involving corruption? Were there people on death row as well in the U.S.?
No. It's only homicide case will lead to capital punishment. No other crimes besides murder can be sentenced to death. Unlike here in Malaysia, there's 5 crimes that I understand is there's 5 crimes that be sentenced to death, and
one of it is drug trafficking.
And also, what was it? The
use of firearms,
murder, and then also
treason.
trying to overturn the government, right? So these are the.
Well, in China, even corruption.
67.
Well, in China, even corruption can be
bribery can be sentenced to death.
Can be sentenced to death. So, among all these 22 inmates that you have been photographing throughout your the span of 1996 until now, what is the one thing in common that they share?
Lack of love. You see, it's a common knowledge that these people are poor. Poor means that not very well educated, and then they get the worst end of criminal justice case. Justice system. However, as I met their family, I can see clearly there was lack of love in their family. So, not even one of them, except Taiwan, all others in the United States are single parents at the best, and I can see the families are not really care about their son or daughter, and I wish there was somebody, it didn't have to be your parents, but somebody, friends or neighbors or teacher, reach out to these people and then to share their love to these kids. I think is their fate that may have changed.
Mm-hmm. The U.S. have one of the most populous prisons in the world. They have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the current number is 2 million. When you mention the word lack of love as one of the reasons, so how does the society in the U.S. In general affect human beings to resort to either, number one, commit crimes like homicide, and number two, to somehow be in this cycle where they, end up in prison, or they know somebody who are close to them end up in prison?
Yeah, it's if you're uneducated you cannot make any money. Only, and then meanwhile, you have a gun available with less than $20, and then if you point the gun to somebody, you make a lot of money. And then if you want to buy a sneaker, if you work at the minimum wage, you will take months to buy one sneaker. But if you point out the gun to somebody, you get immediately the money that you need. And then the whole society is not very kind, or not trying to give equal education to everybody. Is clearly there is if you're wealthy, you have more opportunity for education. Education leads to the better life often, and these people commit the crime who are poor often, and then end up in jail. And then at the jail, it's not a rehabilitation institution. It's about the incarcerate and then beat up, and then they treat badly, and then you make a worse criminal out of yourself. You come out and you commit the crime again. You go back again. So it's the society is, and then also at the same time, a lot of prisons become privatized. So more the prisoner you have in the prison is the better business. So often the judges sentence these people to prison in the favor of this business, get more money, more inmates get more money. So it's very bad cycle. I don't think they really care about the human beings anymore. What I find out was through 1996. More I know about the reality of death penalty, there is a core factor in this system that I don't care about your life. That's the whole mentality behind it. I only care about my life, and then I don't care about your life. So your life is cheaper than mine. Your life, your suffering, it doesn't matter to me. That kind of mentality is spread around not only the United States but also throughout the world. I wish they can reach out and saying like, "What if I was you? What if I was you? How I want to treat. I want to be treated how I treat you. I don't know, vice versa."
You have dedicated a lot of your life to abolishing the death penalty, especially in the U.S. In your point of view, why you choose photography to photograph all these inmates?
Well, I was a photographer first, and then I know the images has a lot of message, more than words. And then I started to use my photography as a tool to express my point of view.
Mm-hmm. So the photos of all these inmates, do you do an exhibition out of it, or do you
I do
make a book out of it?
Well, I was offered a book contract. However, many of the subject inmates are still in the case of trial, and half of them is already being executed, but the half of them still remains. And then I didn't want to really somebody use my images for negatively to the case, so I withdrew. And then I do therefore I do more of private exhibitions and also presentation in colleges and the bar associations and religious places.
Mm-hmm.
And as a human rights advocate, you're obviously against death penalty, and it's it's a message that you've been trying to get across with your work as well. Why is it so important to you that the death penalty is abolished?
I think it's abolishing death penalty is just a very extent of very end of one little things. Is my whole purpose is to care of other people. If you care about yourself, you extend the care to other people, because the crime should not happen in the first place. Murder should not happen in the first place. These people who often commit crime doesn't care less about themselves to the other people, and then they don't care about taking a life of other human beings. We have a history of killings in our society. At the war, we kill people. More people you kill, you get great. You get medals, right? Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, if you kill a person on the street nowadays, you get sentenced to death. And then the whole mentality of your life is different from mine is the base of it. So I want to promote that the if you want to care about yourself, you love other people next to you, and then that's the whole purpose. And
even
then
though the other people could be someone who have murdered someone else.
Well, you see that if you murder somebody, it's you have to look at why this guy commit the crime in first place. What led him to be this way? We as a society is responsible to find out why these things happen, and then as we study more and more, you don't have the one conclusion or one quick fix to this issue or why he's commit crime. But while the society putting heads together, trying to solve and trying to make a better society, that's the best cure to the prevention of a crime. I think it's prevention of crime should be focused a lot, and then how we do it, how to prevent it, but also when that crime happened, how to avoid the similar crime to happen in the future is the key. And then often our judicial system doesn't really focus on the finding out why this happened, how we can prevent a similar crime to happen. They only focus on the punishment. So if you kill somebody, if you only focus on just execute this guy, doesn't really solve doesn't make our society a safer place. Similar crime happen next day. It doesn't, give any effect.
But does it serve justice to the victim's family?
Well, that's what everybody thinks. But do you know any victims' family, murder victims' family?
I don't know.
Yeah, I met so many murder victims' family through my project, and then they all. Some victims' family are still in the midst of anger, hatred, and then they have the revenge. And these people, when I meet them, they're suffering. Just living is torturing for them. And often they go to like alcohols or other stuff to just get by with the day. But there's other victims' family somehow trying to overcome that hatred and anger and trying to find the love inside them, and trying to live. One of the victims said to me, Toshi, my scar never goes away. Always remain in my heart. My scar of losing their family, actually her entire family was murdered. So that scar never goes away. But she says, I can change how I look at my own scar. That was very powerful to me. And then that really helped me because 11 years ago, I myself became a victim. On Friday afternoon, I pick up my daughter. She was 9 years old, 11 years ago, from school on Friday afternoon. And then this maniac just decided to attack randomly. And I happened to be walking in front of him. And then he attacked me from behind with no reason. I'm holding my hands to my daughter and then smashed my head to the pavement. I was immediately unconscious. Blood was shooting out from my head and my ear. My daughter witnessed everything. She went through trauma. And then I was unconscious, and the doctor at the intensive care told my wife that your husband has very little chance of surviving. So please prepare for the worst as well. And then against all the odds, and then if he fights through, and then he come back, expect to spend the rest of his life on the wheelchair. Luckily, on the fourth day, I woke up. I still don't remember what happened. I lost the whole memory. And then I still have symptoms of, I lost the hearing in my right ear. So when I woke up at the hospital, my kids came to my bed. And then I see their face like, wow. I never see my kids in that way. They're full of fears. They're scared. What's going to happen? My father is going to die. What happened? So I told my kids that hate the crime, be angry with violence, but never hate that person. My friends were saying, like, Toshi, we're going to find this guy. And we're going to, punish and then kill this guy, whoever did this to me. I said, don't do it. All I need is a sincere apology. This person, perpetrator, who commit this crime to me, was full of, negative, like, hatred and anger. And then he didn't care less about himself or others. That's why he committed the crime. If I said to my kids, yes, let's revenge, let's find this, and then let's So if I tell my kids was revenge, then my loving children and my family have to spend the rest of our life with hatred and anger,
looking for the guy.
Yeah, which was this guy, right? So this guy not only physically hurt me, but it will take our good heart from my family. I didn't want to let that happen. But I was only able to think this way because I met so many victims' family members. They told me a lot of things. And it's just how to be, look at the positive in the light in that situation, because human beings, we're capable of everything. You think like, oh, you're not capable of killing somebody or you're not capable of anything, but if you're in the circumstances, we're capable of many bad things, and we're capable of all the good things. It's up to us, up to you, up to me, whether I'm going to polish what part of me should I polish, If I polish the bad part of me, I still, every day, this ringing sound in my ear from the crime, I don't hear your voice sometimes very well. When this ringing sound, just like there's a moment that, why do I have to suffer this way? And if I think of that, I know I'm not be a better person. But there's a good part of me that I want to shine, I want to focus. And then with that practice, I keep doing. Coming to Malaysia, going to other places. I go to China, Vietnam, Singapore, many places to see if I can, share my stories.
And one of it, you are going to have an exhibition as well as a lecture on death row inmates.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe you can share more about when is the exhibition.
So the exhibitions it's titled "Give Life a Second Chance." This will be exhibited at the One Utama shopping center. Mm-hmm. You probably know this shopping center better than I do. And from 8 to 12, which is from tomorrow, it will be a first floor. Today.
Yeah, because this is pre-recorded.
We're going to air this tomorrow.
Okay.
Can you say it again from
today is 8.
From the 8th?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you mention from the beginning?
From all
Again,
okay.
Yeah. You can say it starts today on the 8th because we're airing
Yeah,
this
okay.
tomorrow.
So, okay. I start all over, right?
Yeah.
So the exhibition is titled "Give Life a Second Chance." This will be exhibited at the One Utama Shopping Center. Mm-hmm. And from 8 to 12 will be the first floor center. And I will be there on the opening days and closing date and making speeches along with my photograph. And also from 15 to 26, the Ledge Gallery and One Utama Shopping Center, my photograph will be displayed so you can watch, and then there will be captions of each photographs.
Mm-hmm. You'll also be giving a lecture.
Yes, for the public presentations, I will be doing ACE at 3 p.m. at One Utama Shopping Center on the first floor, and also on the 11th of October on Saturday at 2 p.m. At the same place at Utama. One Utama Center, and on the 9th, I'll be at the University of Nottingham at 1 p.m. giving a lecture there.
With that, thank you very much, Toshi.
Thank you so much for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit under jet lag here, so I don't know what I have said or what I have.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are so kind.